Do you ever feel like you're reacting to everything, even healthy foods like strawberries, spinach, or bananas? You've tried low histamine diet. You've cut out vinegar and chocolate and fermented foods. But your symptoms, they're still there, maybe even worse. You're not crazy, you're not overreacting, and you're definitely not alone. In today's video, I'm going to show you why low histamine diets don't always work and what to do instead, especially if you're dealing with MCAS or long COVID. Hi everybody, I'm Carrie Bailey, your no BS, soul-aligned functional nutritionist, here to help you stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like you again, without the fluff, fears, or fads. Let's get into it. Let's start by talking about what histamine is. Histamine is a natural chemical in your body. It's part of your immune system. Histamine is released by mast cells and basophil cells during an immune response, especially when the body senses a foreign invader, like a virus, bacteria, or even an allergen. Histamine helps fight infections and also opens up blood vessels. So in small amounts, it's very helpful. But when it builds up or your body cannot break it down, that's when it becomes a problem. So that's what most people with MCAS or long COVID are dealing with. A body overwhelmed by histamine, not just from foods, but from internal triggers. That's why healthy things start to feel unsafe. Let's talk about why histamine is building up in the first place. Let's get into the root cause. Let's dive deeper. So pathogens is the first reason why histamine builds up. It could be Epstein-Barr virus. There's other viruses that can live in your body. It could be streptococcus, which is a bacteria that can easily overgrow in the body. And the last one is mold. So it's very common for mold to build up in the body. And these all activate the immune system and spike histamine. And if a pathogen isn't cleared, if it's still alive and causing problems, histamine keeps getting released. The second reason why histamine builds up are toxins. That we're constantly exposed to pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, plastics, and these damage cells and they clog the detox pathways, especially in the liver. The third reason why histamines build up is liver stagnation. So our livers, this is the hardest working organ in our body. It is so important. If you cut it out, it will grow back. And the liver normally clears histamine, but if it's sluggish from viral debris, toxin buildup, excess fat, it recycles histamine instead of breaking it down and getting rid of it. The fourth reason histamine builds are nutrient deficiencies. Breaking down histamine takes work, and it takes very key nutrients to do this as well. You need B12, folate, B6, magnesium, zinc, and if you're low in any of these, your system starts to bottleneck. The fifth reason histamine builds up is methylation and genetics. There's a gene called the HNMT gene, and it's responsible for breaking down histamine inside your cells. But guess what it needs? SAMe. It needs SAMe to do that. And SAMe is made, it's part of the byproduct of methylation. This is your body's process for turning nutrients into usable compounds. Methylation depends on B12, folate, and B6. And if you're low, or if you've got gene variants like the MTHFR gene is slow, you've got the MTR gene is almost always slow if you've got symptoms. There's other genes like the MTRR gene, which regulates B12, and the TCN2 genes, which are, again, responsible for helping you make and recycle B12. And you may not be making enough SAMe, and that means histamine sticks around for too long. The sixth reason that histamine builds is this nervous system dysregulation. chronic stress equals chronic histamine. So when I'm talking about stress, I'm not talking just about mental, emotional stress. It's the physiological stress in your body from toxins, pathogens, and everything else that's going on. And if your body is stuck in fight or flight, your body stays reactive and mast cells stay primed. Histamine pours out until your body feels safe. It cannot regulate. If this is already opening your eyes or your nervous system is letting out a big exhale, go ahead and hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up. And if you want more support around MCAS, histamine, and long COVID, and all those mystery symptoms that no one seems to understand, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. I've got videos coming out each week that dive into the root causes and what's actually helping you feel better. All right, let's jump into the food list confusion. Most histamine lists out there tell you to avoid vinegar, fermented foods, nutritional yeast, aged cheeses, wine and alcohol, bone broth, tomatoes, spinach, bananas, citrus, strawberries, and avocado. But here's what no one's telling you. Some of those are pathogen feeding and others are deeply healing. So here's how I break it down for my clients. Foods I recommend avoiding for everyone dealing with histamine overload, and sometimes everyone at all, just to make sure we clear the muddy waters, is vinegar, fermented foods, nutritional yeast, alcohol, caffeine, and not just aged cheeses, but all dairy. Dairy creates mucus, which allows those pathogens to hide in your digestive tract. Processed and cured meats, as well as high-fat meats like pork and lamb. And of course, most pork is a cured meat, or the cured meats are usually pork-based. Citric acid, gluten, soy, and corn. There are few healing foods that are getting wrongly demonized in this healing journey. Bananas, citrus, strawberries, tomatoes, spinach, and avocado. These foods are rich in antioxidants, minerals, hydration, glucose, and liver cleansing power. But if your terrain is off, if the liver is clogged and your methylation is weak, or your nervous system is stuck in survival mode, you're likely to react to these healing foods. And that doesn't mean that they're bad. It means that your body isn't ready for them. Let's talk about what happens if you're reacting to healing foods. And healing foods are basically all fruits and vegetables. So when someone eats a healing food and they react, they usually think, oh no, I can't have that. It's bad for me. But that's not often true. And here's what could be happening. You might be improving the detoxification process and thereby releasing junk from the liver that is working on clearing. It just has to get back into circulation to clear. So that symptom might be just transient, right? Again, we don't want the symptom to be horrible, but it might just be part of the healing journey, if that makes sense. So when you support the body with antiviral foods, antibacterial foods, those pathogens, they don't want to be killed, right? So they're going to fight back. Just like a skunk is going to spray you if you come near it. It's defending itself. So it releases a poison. And that poison is just going to be one more thing in the system that could make symptoms get worse or cause a flare. So if you react to certain healing foods, don't just cut them out. Here's what to do. First, start smaller. So if you react to a whole apple, can you try a slice of apple? Don't stack all the high nutrient foods in at once. Don't make a crazy smoothie with bananas and strawberries and etc., right? Focus on support first. I love to bring in these adrenal snacks. Adrenal snacks are foods and combinations of foods that are high in sodium, potassium, and glucose. Those three are going to help balance your nervous system. It's going to help balance your blood sugar. It's going to give your adrenal glands a little snack. You also want to find support in mineral hydration. This is things like coconut water. You want to bring in gentle liver helpers like cucumber juice. And then you want to rotate slowly. Keep the faith. It gets easier. You're not sensitive, you're healing. And we all know that there's ups and downs in this healing journey. But let me tell you a story about my client, Alex. When Alex came to me, he had this maddening, relentless itch that was like deep nerve level itch that wouldn't quit. It turns out it was shingles related, and histamine was fueling the fire. He was taking 10 Zyrtecs a day just to cope. So we didn't start with 100 supplements. We started with food. We supported his liver and his nervous system through healing foods. And when his body was ready, we began adding supplements, one at a time. And sometimes it was just a single drop or a pinch of powder. And guess what? Within just a couple of months, Alex went from needing 10 antihistamines every single day to 0 on most days. If he ate out or he veered off plan, sure, he definitely would need a Zyrtec or 2. But he wasn't stuck on that constant reactive state anymore. And that's what's possible when you support the root and stop chasing reactions. Let's talk about citric acid versus citrus fruit, because I think there's a lot of confusion there when it comes to the histamine diet. Citric acid does not equate to citric fruit. Citric acid is an ingredient. It's a synthetic preservative, and it's often made from mold or genetically modified corn. It's not helpful. It's very acidic and irritating and adds to the histamine load. So if you're familiar with magnesium citrate, this is a magnesium in combination with citric acid. And it's great if you're constipated and you want to have a bowel movement. It will do that because it's going to irritate the lining of the gut and trigger a bowel movement. But citrus fruits like lemons, oranges, and grapefruits, they're liver loving and hydrating. They're mineral rich and they calm the nervous system. They're not the problem. They're part of the solution when your body is ready. Let's talk about the supplements that support histamine balance. These are my go-tos when I work with someone who's histamine sensitive, overreactive, and ready to rebuild. The number one most important supplement to bring in is B12. I like to bring in a adenosine and a methyl combination that's sublingual. If you can do that, sometimes hydroxy is the place to start. Everybody's different, but it supports the liver, the nervous system, and methylation. So start low and titrate slow. I love to bring in a B complex. It's such an important combination of the B vitamins. So if you tolerate a methylated B complex, that's awesome. Bring that in. And if not, you can do a non-methylated B complex like B- by Seeking Health. I'll add a link down in the description below for that. But this includes B1, B2, B3, B5, and B6. And you actually need most of your Bs in order to get rid of histamine. Zinc helps regulate the immune responses. It stabilizes mast cells and it supports viral cleansing. It's really important to have vitamin C, but it's just as important to have the right form of vitamin C. Vitamin C is a natural antihistamine and it is a key adrenal ally. Make sure you stay away from ascorbic acid because it too is made from GMO corn for the most part, and the safest form is to bring in a buffered vitamin C. The two that I like are Micro C by Vemergy, and also Solgar makes an ester C plus. And those are the two that I like to bring in. And the fifth supplement I like to bring in, and you can do this in tea form and tincture form, is nettle. Nettle is one of the most underrated herbs for histamine overload. It nourishes, it calms, and it clears gently. One of the common supplements that most practitioners use when it comes to histamine sensitivity is quercetin. That's one of the main ingredients in nettle is quercetin. So by bringing in nettle, you're bringing in all the components of nettle that are healing. You can do an alcohol-free tincture of nettle. You can do a tea. You can dilute it. It's just a lot of things you can do to bring in nettle in a really safe, gentle way. With all of these supplements, you always want to start slow and introduce one at a time. All right, let's wrap this up. So it's not about cutting out everything. The more you cut out, the more reactive your system actually becomes. It's kind of this catch-22. It's not about elimination, it's about support. And the foods you're afraid of, you may need them to heal. And the goal isn't to live on 6 foods. It's to rebuild your body's capacity to restore your nervous system, your liver, and your immune resilience so that you can eat freely again. It's not just what you take away, it's about what you give back to your body. If today's video resonated with you and you're tired of guessing, restricting, and spinning your wheels, grab my free Long COVID Recovery Guide at longcovidrecoveryguide.com or check the link in the description below. It's a great first step to help you understand what your body needs to detoxify, to regulate histamine, and to feel safe again. That's it for today. Bye for now.